Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. So grateful for you all to join us. Welcome. Lynn, it's good to see your beautiful face. Jessica, Marty, Aaliyah, did I pronounce your name right? I don't know if I did. Catherine, Tammy, so great to see you guys. Very excited to have you guys here. And just for a full transparency, we're going to start live streaming on Facebook. And if you guys want to be put in the mix for the live reading, unfortunately, when I created the Zoom registration, I can't, for some reason, access your answers. So we're going to need you to go ahead and give me your birth information that you put into the form. And Gay has put it into the chat. So if you just put it in that format, then for the mini reading, once we get moving down the road, I will be able to do like a quick little mini reading. This is going to be a tight hour-long call because I've got a pretty hard stop. So we're going to move through this very quickly, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So yay, I'm excited. Aaliyah, is that how you pronounce your name? Aaliyah, do you have a question? I see your hand up.
It's Ayla.
It's what?
Ayla.
Ayla?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that correction.
Yeah, because you never know if there's actually an Aaliyah too, you know?
Yes. Okay, so it's Ayla. Ayla.
Yes, ma'am.
Ayla. Okay, I'm gonna have to focus on that. I'm gonna have to get that in my head. I will work on that. Okay, so anyway, really appreciate you guys being here today. I'm very energized to have this discussion. And Brittany, how are you today? Are you pumped for this discussion? Are we ready to rock and roll with this?
Yes, I'm like preparing my Facebook.
Okay, awesome.
Like I'm here. My head is down and I'm like, but yeah, I'm here.
That's okay. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Okay, love it. Marty, I need a location for your friend. I'm going to need a location for your friend. Yeah. Tammy, good news. Already have yours. So we'll be good there. All right, Jessica and Catherine, amazing. Okay, so what I thought we would do today is, first off, I would love to know by show of hands or in the chat, who here is familiar with human design? Okay, how deep down the rabbit hole have you guys gone? Lynn and Jessica. I know Tammy because we've talked before, but Jessica and Lynn, how deep down the rabbit hole have you gone?
I love it. I'm a manifester. And
Ooh.
So it's been life-changing to just know that.
Yeah.
But I am always constantly wanting to learn more. So
Yes.
That's why I'm here. When I saw your email, I was like, yes, I'm in.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so awesome. Yay. Well, we're super excited that you're here. Jessica, what about you?
I'm familiar. I want to be deeper down the rabbit hole, but I get distracted with other things and other.
Oh, so you're human is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay, that's awesome. All right. Well, so I wanted to give a quick overview of what human design is, why it is so magical. And then I'm going to have Brittany talk about why she loves human design. Then we're going to dive deep into understanding how from our energetic types, how can we attract more clients? How can we start to grow our businesses and scale in a way that is consistent and it makes sense for us? Because the more aligned we are in our energy, the more of a magnet we actually become. We're at the end of this, I'll do a couple mini readings if we have time for some people. And then we'll talk about an exciting offer that we have for next week. It's a free offer. So yeah, you'll want to stay tuned for that. Okay. Anyway, so what is human design? Human design is, it's a tool to understand how our energy shows up, how our energy moves, how we're best in alignment, leveraging our energy, and really how it allows us to move through life in a more effortless way and create more freedom in our lives. So how did I come about human design? I came about human design probably about 4.5 years ago. And I just kind of stumbled into it, probably like many of you guys. And I see these charts and I'm like, what the heck is this? This is so much information. I have no idea what this means. Just tell me what I need to know. And let's move on. Right. Well, I'm a 1-3. And for those of you guys that are familiar with human design, it's about really investigating and going deep down the rabbit hole for things that light you up. I'm also a generator. So I have really, really big energy. I have a lot of it. And with that, I decided, I went down the rabbit hole with human design. And the more that I started learning about human design, I started activating different codes in my physical body, and I started manifesting really crazy things in my life. Some things that I desired, some things I did not desire. However, what it really did give me was as a pathway to understand how I can start to leverage this in my life, in my business, to generate more abundance, create more freedom, and really align my energy so that I become that magnet. So today we're going to talk specifically on the types. We're not going to go into profiles today. There's a lot of different things that we can go into, but today we're going to focus specifically on type. And before we do that, I want to open up the floor really quickly to Brittany, and I want her to share what human design has been for her. And as she's doing this, I'm going to put in your charts.
Awesome. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Brittany Alicia, creator, founder of Make Life Your Bitch. So I'm a podcaster, and I also help women with the Done With You launches. So usually rebellious women, because they like to do things their way. So I found human design. And one thing I do want to say is with the profiles and stuff, with the Make Life Your Bitch podcast, we're doing a human design series right now where all the types are going to be dropped next week. And it's all about talking about how to sell. And I'm actually going to be doing all of the lines coming up. They'll be live, and then they'll be taken down, and then they'll go on to the podcast. So those are all going to be streamed live coming up. So I think we're doing 4. I'm doing one today at 4 in a few hours. But I was going to say, so why I love human design is that, I'm not a human design expert, but when I first started my business back in 2018, I was really trying to figure out how to be successful, like all of us, right? And I was following all these people who I aspired to be like them, right? So I kept hiring all these different coaches who I wanted to be like, and I would learn their way. And when it didn't work for me, I was like on to the next person. And I was one of those people who like I'm a hustler. Like I'm willing to go all in, do the work, do what you tell me to do. But there was like this energetic like mismatch, and I couldn't figure out why. And then all of a sudden in 2021, all of a sudden I like hit this alignment, and I had a 6-figure year and things were going great. And then I hired a coach, again, someone I aspired to be like, and I ended up hiring her based on who I aspired to be like versus really looking into what her program had to offer and was it specifically for me. And what I realized was my business went from 6 figures to feeling like I was starting over again, because all of a sudden I wasn't aligning with my audience anymore. I wasn't like having content that connected. My offers were like completely all over the map. And I started to learn when I started to learn about human design and learn about myself, that I'm a self-projected projector. I'm a 2/4. I have to wait for the invitation. And I'm just like, I mean, anyone who's a projector and you hear that, you're like, oh, fuck off already. And so what I ended up actually, as I've learned more and more about human design and my personal chart, I realized why what I was doing was working. And then all of a sudden why it wasn't. Like I finally learned what shifted as I've learned more and more about my chart. So what I did was I started to have people come on my podcast because honestly, I wanted to learn about human design. And it was really interesting having all these different people come on the podcast and talk about human design. And there's so much I'm learning. And Katie was one of the people who ended up coming on my podcast. And I was blown away by how quickly she was able to provide information to me. And I always love when Katie looks at your chart, if anyone's ever had your chart read by her, and she goes, and she stops and she goes, oh, that's interesting. And you're like, tell me more. What do you mean it's interesting? And so what I did was I started my Wealthy Rebel program, and my Wealthy Rebel program is all about Done With You launches. Because as I learned more and more about myself, I realized that there is no right or wrong way to do business on social media. It's making sure that you're showing up authentically as you. And so I started the program based on, let me help you find your way of doing a launch. Let me help you understand your program, how it works, create a product suite. And when I launched Wealthy Rebel, after I talked to Katie, I actually invited her in to do private readings with each one of the women inside that program so that I, as a coach, could understand my clients and I could best support them, because I think that's our job as coaches, is to make sure that we are actually helping our clients learn their way, not teaching you my way. Like my way is not going to work for, it's not going to work for Jessica. It might not work for Lynn, that kind of thing. Right. So I invited her in, and after that, it's transformed into us talking about creating something together, launching together and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if I'm allowed to give any more information other than that.
Okay, we're teasing it out.
But, it got me really excited when I learned that, like, I can help you take your chart and teach you how to launch in a way that's completely 100% in alignment with you, showing up authentically. And the thing I love most about human design is it's given me the validation and the understanding, like I said before, as to why it wasn't working for me and what shifted when it was working and now it wasn't. And all of a sudden I got that validation from learning about my chart, my human design, and the best way for me to show up. So that's a bit about me. I know I went on a bit
I
of
love it. No, that's perfect. That is awesome. I absolutely love it. Ayla, just a couple years ago. Oh, you did? I did? That's awesome.
Yeah, you did. It was so great. Sorry, everybody. I'm driving, and today is a CEO professional development day. So yeah, hi. You did a couple years ago, but somehow in our connection, you got the time wrong, and I didn't realize it. So you basically did a reading like on the exact situation for my assistant, but I'd love to hear feedback about my actual time.
Yeah. Did I do this on Clubhouse? Was this a Clubhouse thing?
We connected through Clubhouse.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Sorry, I've done thousands
yeah.
of charts. So if I don't connect
We
with you
met.
on Zoom, it's like it's hard for me to remember.
Yeah, we met a long time ago through Clubhouse.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, too funny.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, I look forward to doing that and sharing more with you. I've got everybody's information that shared their information into my system. So thank you for doing that. So first off, we're going to talk about the types. So again, I know that there's different varying degrees of everybody understanding the different types, but today's discussion is really going to be focused on how to magnetize and align your energy specific to your type. Now, I bring this as a caveat because when we start to introduce your type with your profile, with your authority, with lots of other things that may be lit up in your chart, as well as the transits, what's going on energetically in the ethers, things can shift, things can change. And it's really important to understand how that affects you. And your energy showing up, because at the end of the day, at the very foundational level, it's about how do you align your energy. So today we're going to talk specifically on the types. So with that, I'm going to pull up, where did it go? I have too many open tabs and it was just here, there it is. Okay, 2 seconds ago. Okay, so the first type, and just a show of hands really quickly, who are my generators, like pure generators here? Any pure generators here? Okay, Jessica's a pure generator. Awesome. Jessica, you and me both, sister. So pure generators, we have really, really big energy. We are we are literally magnets just in our aura. However, it's when our aura and our energy is aligned. It is like it's an alignment and it is an aligned space. What does that actually mean? Okay. As generators, we are truly here to respond to the energy that comes into us. We are not here to initiate. And this can be a little bit challenging, especially if we're an entrepreneur, right? And we're like, oh my gosh, I've got to initiate. How do I start a business if I can't initiate, right? Well, it's about responding to the energy that lights you up. And through maybe even serving, building an audience. How do you build an audience as a generator? I will tell you, you got to be lit up by what you're doing. The more that a generator is lit up by what they're doing, the more they become a magnet for what they desire. Now, this is a lot of times when I work with my clients, especially generators, a lot of times generators find themselves in the jobs, like these 9-to-5 jobs that they absolutely despise, but they can stick it out because they'll find little things that keep them going, right? These small little things that keep them going. But the problem is those little things start to compound and they will literally suck the life force energy out of you to the point where then your adrenals start to fade and fatigue and your cortisol plummets and then you can't get out of bed. And then we have problems. So I always tell my generators, because this happened to me actually. And people always ask me, how do you have so much energy? Like, where does your energy come from? Well, if you look at my design, you'd be like, holy cow. Yes, I can understand why you have so much energy. However, at the same time, I've had to be very strategic about how I leverage that energy, because as generators, we are no other type generators. We're like the worker bees. We're the ones that actually get fulfilled by kind of like checking things off the list. Right? We feel this like satisfaction, like I achieved that, I accomplished that, I got that done. There's this like feeling of satisfaction. And the more that we lean into satisfaction, the more we become a magnet for what we desire. So when I talk to my generator clients and when I think about building an audience, it's all about, especially for generators, it's about showing your process. It's showing the behind the scenes, and it's not about initiating necessarily, but it's like showing the behind the scenes, like, oh, I'm doing this masterclass, like taking pictures, like everybody smile. I'm going to take a little picture and you'll see this on my social media here. Smile. Perfect. Thanks. That'll go up on my social media later. But I say this because as generators, people are naturally attracted to our energy in the present. So the more that we are lit up by what we're doing, and whether, like, regardless of what that is, the more that we're lit up by what we're doing, the more people are going to be drawn to us and curious. And especially for generators, storytelling is a big piece of what we're able to provide and really generating an audience. But it's not, but I say, but, and it's really important that in our storytelling, we're talking about our journey. It's like, it's not like hypothetical, if that makes sense. It's about real-time engagement. So one of the things I always tell my generator clients, go live. Go live. It's funny because with the whole algorithms and all the things that happen in social media now, I used to go live all the time and I absolutely loved it because there were a lot of people seeing my lives and I was super engaging. I'm not in the algorithm that is great now. So I don't get to engage with people on lives. And so I've kind of shut that down in myself. And in doing that, I've shut down my life force energy. So be present, allow yourself to be present. You don't necessarily have to go live, but have something where you can allow yourself to be seen, that you can show your behind the scenes, share your story, share the journey, share the evolution. Does this make sense? Yeah, it's a really powerful, powerful thing. The other piece is, if you're not responding to what your audience is engaging with, with you, I always tell my my generator clients, invite people. And this is key because there will be projectors, 25-ish% of the population are projectors. Projectors need to be invited. So use the language of, I invite you, like I'm inviting you to come to this. I'm inviting you to take part in this. And that's when a projector will be like, ooh, okay, I can see that. I've been invited. Like, let me jump in. My projectors on the call know what I'm talking about. Brittany, Marty, a few others. And I mean, it's truly a game changer. And then the last thing I want to share about generators is when you're thinking about generating an offer and, putting something out there, make it fun and playful. People are drawn to the generator playfulness, the fun, joyful, like almost, and this is also my design, so I'm not going to I don't want to tip the scales too much, but there's a lightness to our energy that people are drawn to. And so not being so serious, not being so like regimented, just being truly authentic to ourselves. Now, the other big piece of this is, and we'll talk about this as well, kind of the cat's out of the bag. We're going to be doing something next week that is free for everybody. And we're going to be going much deeper into a lot of the human design energetics of the different types and profiles and how we can put them into a beautiful stew and make them work for you. But one of the things especially about a generator, is leaning into our signature of satisfaction. So anytime when my energy feels off, or like I'm just feeling a little bit out of alignment, if you just, and this is in life or in business, if you just lean into your signature of satisfaction, and that could just be like, hey, I'm going to go grab a cup of coffee. I'm going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to breathe. I'm just going to breathe into my belly. I'm going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to listen to a music, like some songs or some music that's going to rejuvenate my energy. It is such a powerful tool, because as soon as we lean into satisfaction, our energy gets back into alignment. When our energy is out of alignment, we go directly to frustration. Doesn't mean we don't get angry or bitter or, disappointed. It just means that when we start to sense that frustration, our energy is out of alignment, and it's in time to lean into satisfaction. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. Okay, and I also have a freebie that Gail put the link up to of a human design in business, and it goes through these 5 types in more detail. So you'll be able to check that out as well. Okay, so next type I want to talk about is the manifesting generators. Now, the manifesting generators, these are like the time benders of humanity. They collapse time. Now, this doesn't mean that the other types don't do this. They just do it in a different way. Manifesting generators. And who are my manifesting generators on the call? All right. So Ayla, okay. Anyone else? I know that there'll be other people probably watching that are manifesting generators. So manifesting generators, they are multi-passionate humans. My partner, my boyfriend, is a manifesting generator, and it's really important, if you're a manifesting generator and an entrepreneur, you got to have multiple plates spinning, like multiple plates spinning at all times. And what does that mean? Lots of different projects, a lot of different things that you can have your hand in and that are kind of circling all around you at all times. This is important because if manifesting generators get bored, they get frustrated, and they got to move on to something else. Does this make sense? Now, manifesting generators are not meant to go like super deep. Now, unless their profile is different, I'm going to make a little caveat to that. But manifesting generators are typically meant to go, you know how sometimes they'll say like like a mile wide yeah, that's what a manifesting generator, a mile wide and an inch deep, as opposed to like a mile deep and an inch wide, right? Like really focused. Manifesting generators, it's really not important for you guys to have a broad niche. You need to have a broad context, but not a specific niche, if that makes sense. Also, Mani-gens work really well when they work in phases of things. This means on a couple hours, off a couple hours, on a couple hours, off a couple hours. Little caveat I didn't mention about the generators. Generators are the only type that are meant to work long hours. And most generators are like, well, that stinks, because like, I don't want to have to work all long hours. Here's the thing. Generators, when we're doing what we love, and when I'm talking about human design, I will forget to pee, eat, poop, drink water, and anything. Like you can see, I just get lit up talking about human design. I have so much energy around it. It rejuvenates my sacral. Manifesting generators have that sacral battery. However, they also have part of that manifestor energy, which is very different. And with that with the manifesting energy, it's important for them to go in cycles. So if they're being lit up by what they're doing, they can keep going and going and going and going and going. However, once they do that for a certain period of time, it's going to be important for them to take rest, because they do have a part of them that will burn out eventually. Does this make sense? Okay. So in business, especially, I mentioned that manifesting generators are meant to juggle multiple projects. When it comes to, and this could be like having different courses that you're promoting at all times, right? Different offers that you're promoting at a lot of different times. And this doesn't mean that all the other types can't have this. It's just when the energy is more aligned, that a manifesting generator will be able to collapse time even greater. And there are ways in which all the types can collapse time, which I will share a little bit more next week. But for now, manifesting generators, this is really key for you, is to be able to have have different offers putting out there at all times, and also create a conversation with your audience. Ask questions. So different than the generators, ask questions. You can initiate, use your manifesting part of your manifesting generator to ask questions, to initiate, asking your audience certain things. It's also going to be important for you to have a blend of kind of your behind the scenes. So where the collapsing time part is great, you're also going to have to do like you'll have to focus on more things. So it's going to be important to engage in those multifaceted offers or projects and bringing them to the fold in a way that makes sense for you. And we'll talk more about what that actually means next week. When your energy is out of alignment, you're going to lean more towards frustration. You will get to a point of anger at times because you have that manifesting energy. However, it's going to be really, really important that when you do that, lean into satisfaction, and specific to different manifesting generator charts. This is why looking at your actual chart is really important, because some manifesting generators have more manifestor energy. Some manifesting generators have more generator energy. And I can look at that and we can kind of dive through that. So if we have time later, I'll share a little bit more about that. Again, talking about having the different pathways and different offers out there, it's best to have at least 2 or 3 pathways in which you have people engaging or doing business with you. At least, I would say probably at least 3 different ways. And because you're the bridge between the generator and the manifestor, it's super important to lean into, like, when your energy is like in alignment, lean into satisfaction and whatever that means for you, as well as peace. What is going to bring you peace? So yes, you may collapse time, but you also have to juggle the peace and satisfaction. So that's where the authority comes in. And we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. And how that will come into play. Does this make sense on the Manny Gen front? Gay, if you want to go ahead and put, oh, you already did the free 1-pager. If you guys want to go ahead and grab that, it kind of goes through the different charts as well, but we're going to keep going. And then I want to get to some of your guys' charts. So that will be fun. All right. The third type is the manifestor. Now, manifestors make up about 9 to 10% of the population. They're the fire starters, right? They're the ones that are here to initiate. They are here to inform. They are here to, and they're not here to to really ask questions, or not ask questions, but to listen to others. Now that sounds kind of harsh. And I know Lynn just mentioned that she's a manifestor. Manifestors have a very unique energy, that they have this ability where generators have a very powerful, like massive aura energy. Manifestors have this energy that can penetrate, that can pierce the soul very quickly when they put all their energy into something. It is really, really powerful. Sorry. Oh, sorry, Brittany, I just saw your thing. Yeah. So when manifestors are in their business and they're getting these downloads, it's important for them to take action immediately. Don't wait on it. They've got to take an action. They've got to initiate very quickly, because manifestors are here to kind of create that ripple effect, be that fire starter, be bold, right? Have that, that ability to channel your energy. And this is the other big thing. Because they have this ability to channel this energy and have this focus energy, I always like to say it's kind of like Moses in the Red Sea, where generators have really big auras. People are naturally drawn into them. Manifestors have what we call as a repelling aura, which is actually really good because they have this ability to focus and clear everything out of their path, which is a really powerful gift when it comes to business. But it's important for manifestors to experience rest. And if any of you guys know, one of my beautiful friends, Lauren Phelps, she and I do a lot of work with human design together, and she's a manifestor. And it's so funny as we look at our different types, because the generator and manifestor could not be more opposite from each other. But understanding her manifestor energy, I don't get offended by her repelling aura. And a lot of manifestors out there will be people just feel I have that resting bitch face or, whatever. And it's not true. It's just, you have this incredible way of knowing what's meant for you and what's not, and moving forward with it. Whereas so many other of the types don't necessarily have that clarity. Does this make sense, Lynn? I see you nodding your head. Yeah, it's wild, you guys. It's so wild. So when we look at manifestors in business, they actually work really well independently. And this doesn't mean that you can't work with other people. It's just, it's got to be their idea. And it sounds a little egotistical or whatever, maybe to the other types, but it's not, because it's the manifestor energy is what sparks a movement, what sparks, you know, a new concept, a new offer, something new being born. There's a boldness to manifestors that really comes to fruition when they lean in to their piece and they rest and they work in cycles. So a couple hours on, couple hours off, couple hours on, couple hours off, or maybe it's like 12 hours off and then like 3 hours on and then 12 hours off. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but it's about really taking those, like leaning into those cycles. And then when you are ready to share your information, it's about putting that out there as bold, to the point. It's not about storytelling. Manifestors are not necessarily about storytelling unless there's certain activations in your throat center, which again, we'll talk about. But it's about being to the point, being very factual, being very clear, very concise, and sharing that voice and sharing that system. Manifestors, as I mentioned, they work really well working independently. It's really important for manifestors to delegate. Okay, delegate, have a team that you work with, so that you can streamline your workflow and move your energy forward, so that then you can take the rest that you need. For manifestors, your voice is your ally. It's your marketing tool. So speak out, write a book, you know, get yourself on videos, YouTube, podcasts, whatever. Depending on your environment, it could be different. There could be different pathways of getting your voice out there, as well as the different activations in your throat. And we'll get to later down the road. But if you remember one thing, it's about using your voice. So whatever tool that you feel more at peace with and, you know, aligned in your own energy, that's what you got to do. But you got to use your voice. You got to use your voice, and you got to take rest. Rest is literally probably your greatest ally. Does this make sense? Len, I see you kind of looking. And here's the thing. When we're working with manifestors, we just have to give them their space. Let them do their thing. Let them come up with the downloads, and then we get to be receptive to it, right? We get to be invited into it. We get to respond to it. There's a lot of really beautiful gifts of being around manifestors because they have this very potent, very, very potent energy. Okay, next we're going to go, which it sounds like we've got lots of projectors on the call. And I know that we've got a few with Marty and a few others. Who are my projectors? If you guys could just put it in the chat. Who are my projectors in the chat? I would love to know. Okay. So projectors are these, oh, beautiful. Okay. So Catherine, Julia, awesome. Gay. Yes. I love it. Okay. I know Marty is as well. Now here's the thing with projectors, you guys. Projectors make up about 20-ish% of the population. Projectors are truly here to guide humanity. They are literally here to orchestrate humanity. You guys have this ability to see things above the fray. Like, and help me out. Let me know if you guys have felt this way as a projector. Have you ever been talking to someone and you're kind of like, how do you not see this? Like, this is right in front of our faces, glaring us like right here. How do you not see this? Projectors, have a little patience. Love you. But it's truly like, we don't have this ability to synthesize the bigger picture. That's why we need you. That's why we're here. Projectors are amazing in business because they have this ability to kind of break down and synthesize and put all the little moving pieces together. I like to call them truly as like, you're the orchestrators of humanity. You're truly here to advise a collective, right? Lead, guide other people, through a movement. And again, depending on your profile, there can be some other ways of accessing your projectorness. But it's really important for people to see you. You need to be seen. And a lot of times projectors will hide and they'll gain resentment or bitterness because what they've maybe put out isn't necessarily landing. Does this make sense? For some of my projectors out there, may not make sense because you weren't initially invited. Projectors are truly meant to wait for the invitation. So wait for, and when I say this to projectors are like, well, shoot, like, what if I'm just waiting for the invitation all the time? When I tell projectors this and my clients, I'm like, you've got to immerse yourself in other creative outlets. other creative projects, because what that does is it keeps your mind active and floating in different things. And then it creates this energy, this magnetic energy where people are going to invite you in to speak. Because once you do speak and it lands and you know it lands, there's this feeling of success and you're like, heck yeah, like I got this. I know what I'm doing. So for projectors, it's super important to also work in cycles. Again, not like a generator, couple hours on, couple hours off, couple hours on, couple hours off. And do, because if you work long hours, you're going to burn yourself out. And projectors, like, well, I'm not going to scare you, but when projectors get burned out, it's a lot harder to get your energy back up and going than any of the other types. So projectors will then have to like plug in to other people to revitalize their energy. And it's not always easy to do that. So I always tell my projectors that you've got to take time for yourself. You've got to work in cycles and allow those waves of cycles to work for you. Because you're truly here to share your wisdom, to share your expertise, share your insights. I always tell my projectors, when you start sharing and using your voice and you have an authority around it, there's going to be people that you're going to draw in, and there's going to be people that you're going to repel. Celebrate them both, because that's truly how projectors can create the boundaries that allow them to be successful in business. You're not here to be for everyone. You're truly not. You're going to find your pockets of people, and it's through your clarity and your wisdom and your expertise and those insights that invites your audience to join in the journey with you. When you do what you love and then you're recognized by what lights you up, forget about it. I always tell my projectors, create a Facebook group, create a tribe, right? And then invite others to invite people on your behalf. So for projectors, if you have a Facebook group or some sort of community, get your community to invite other people. Invite your community to invite other people into your realm, right? Into your community. It's not about you doing all of the work, because remember, you're the seer of humanity. You're the orchestrator. So super, super important for that. Does this make sense to my projectors? Does this resonate? Yep. Let me know in the chat. All the time, Catherine. I love it. Yeah, it's wild. Okay. And so then in the last type, before we get to some of the mini readings, we have the reflectors. Now, do I have any reflectors on the call right now? Let me know, because you are a unicorn. You are a unicorn. Less than 1% of the population is a reflector. And the reflectors, and really to know if you're a reflector, it's basically when you pull your chart, all of your shapes in your chart are white. Here's the thing with the reflector. Reflectors are incredible. So if you're in business, it's always really good to have a reflector, but you know what? They're few and far between. So it's kind of hard to find them. If you believe it's hard to find them, then they're hard to find, but you can find them. I know many. Reflectors calibrate to the energy around them. So they have this really powerful way of being the center of a community and really being a mirror for what the health of the community, what maybe needs to be done, what's working well, maybe what is not working so well. And especially for reflectors, when they're entrepreneurs in business, it is so important for you to be in the right environment. And I don't mean that necessarily in the environment of human design. Partially, yes. And we'll talk more about that later down the road. However, it's super important for you to feel this inner curiosity. That is how you know your energy is in alignment. It's this feeling of like, oh, like this lightness, like of surprise. And but if you feel heavy or weighted down or disappointed, you gotta figure out, where are you in your surroundings? How can you maybe shift your surroundings or put yourself in a different environment where you feel really safe? Because what happens with reflectors is they take in all of the energy. They're sampling all the energy from the environment. And because of that, they can get doused in all of the energy, and they need their alone time to get to ground their energy back down and really get, kind of back in line. Very similar to manifestors and projectors. They're not meant to work typical 9 to 5s. They're going to need lots of work or lots of rest in their work cycles. And having a support team around them is so important. Like what I usually tell my reflector clients is have your trusted advisors, people that you can discuss important decisions to make, because as a reflector, they're not meant to make decisions in the now. They're meant to allow their process kind of over the 28 days, like see how things feel over 28 days. You can imagine any of the other types, like I have to wait 28 days to make a decision on this. Like, no, thank you. And if you're an emotional authority, you got to ride the emotional wave, and the emotional wave can last a long time. However, we'll go deeper into understanding like what our authority is and how to align with that down the road. But as a reflector, you got to surround yourself with people that you trust, that will guide you, that you can get a safe sense that they're doing what's best for you, or that they're truly a guide in your resonance. What's really important with reflectors as entrepreneurs is when they're not meant to work in cycles necessarily. It's important to share content, share whatever it is, whenever they feel inspired. And for a reflector, their voice will change over time. And this is very different depending on where you have definition in your chart, where your shapes are lit up. You'll start to understand that depending on whatever your type is, and if you're a reflector or where you may have certain activations, you'll start to see how you are supported by other people. So one of the things I like to do with my clients is if they're engaging in a business partnership or coming together with something, or they have a particular offer, I'll take their chart and then I'll overlap it with whatever the offer or another person or in a relationship or whatever. And I can start to see how does the energy flow between the two of you? Where is it going to get stuck? And then we can work through and how to make that, kind of move forward. For reflectors, especially, this is for all the types, but especially for a reflector, they've got to listen to their intuition. Their intuition is everything. However, it's so important for reflectors to really reflect over a 28-day cycle. So they've got to be able to see and feel into their energy. I always tell reflectors, grab a journal and just verbaria all over it. Verbaria all over it. Get your words out, get everything out that you feel, and start to notice where the patterns occur. And start to see really where are you showing up? How are things coming together for you in a way that allows you to make decisions more effectively rather than having to wait the 28-day cycle. Because we don't have any reflectors on the call, I'm not going to go too super deep into it. But the biggest key for a reflector is to build a business with a team around you. You've got to have your trusted source. You've got to have your rest. And when you feel inspired, that's when you're meant to share content. You don't need to have a cadence. You don't need to have, a regular cadence or anything like that. Don't worry about the algorithms, all of that, because reflectors, they just take on all the energy anyway. Okay. Does this make sense? And as you are listening to this, my hope and my trust is that you can start to see that as these different types come together, you can start to see how if I'm working with someone in business or even in my personal life in a relationship, and they're a manifestor and I'm a generator, there's a level of understanding that likely needs to happen. Or if you're a projector and a manifestor, there's a level of understanding that needs to come to fruition, to where you can start to see, okay, hey, how can I lean more into my authority in this? Or how can I lean more into my energy with this and align my energy so that we can diffuse some of the conflict or be a little bit more understanding of ourselves and each other? Does this make sense? Yeah? Okay, great. All right. Julia, because you might've been a little bit late to the call, I'm not gonna have time to put your chart into my genetic matrix, but Gay, if you could put her information down, and Julia, if you join us next week, I'll make sure to have your chart loaded up, and we'll share more about that here in just a second. So with that, I'm just going to do this in old school style. I'm going to go from the top to whoever gave me their information first. And I'm just going to do a quick little reading. I'd love for you to, if you can, show your camera, take yourself off mute. And so we are going to start. Give me 1 second. I just want to get this pulled up. This is weird. Why does this not work? Sorry, guys. I know that the Mercury's in retrograde, but hopefully I can get this sorted. Okay, so we're gonna start with Jessica. Jessica, are you here? Yes, you are. There you are. Okay, let me pull this up. Okay, so Jessica. Okay. So Jessica, you are an emotional. Whoa. Okay. Again, I hadn't seen it until right now. So you are an emotional.
I'm just saying. See what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Wow.
Exactly what you're
This is
talking
wild.
about.
I'm so excited to share this. Okay. So, oh wait, I don't want to share my whole screen. I'm just going to show you this. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Can you also
Yes.
see the chat? Because I need to move that. Okay. Hope not. All right. Oh, and happy birthday, Julia. Oh, that's so funny. That's wild.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Okay, so Jessica. Oh, and if I'll take your birthday out of this, I'll make this anonymous. Okay, Jessica, this is fascinating. So you are an emotional generator. And tell me what resonates, tell me what doesn't, let me know. As an emotional generator, you are meant to really make decisions. You're not meant to make decisions in the moment. You're meant to ride the wave. You're truly meant to ride the wave. The wave is going to be really important for you to understand. So you could go from like happy to sad to joyous to angry to all these different things. And once you let the wave settle, you can move forward and really make that decision. Guys, 50% of the population is emotional authority. That's a lot. Projectors can be emotional authorities. Manifestors can be emotional authority. Like if you have this colored in, you're an emotional authority. Now, what's really fascinating, and this is why I love looking at people's charts, Jessica, you have an insane amount of definition in your chart. And what this tells me is that there is a lot of certainty that you lean into and that you maybe are driven towards. Again, I don't know you. And this is the first time I think we've met. And I believe it is. Yeah. Okay. If we have connected like Ayla on Clubhouse, I apologize. What's really fascinating about your chart is that you're a triple split authority. Now, what this means is that you have 3 voices talking to you all the time. Does this make sense?
I'm a little lost at this part, but everything else so far makes sense.
Okay, you have 3 voices talking to you at all times. Now, what this means is like, and it's not that one voice is right or wrong, and like one's right, 2 are wrong, whatever. It just means that you have 3 different insights and things that are coming in at you all the time and decisions. And as an emotional authority, this is one of the things that's going to be super important when you make decisions. You got to let the wave settle. Because you have these 3 voices in your head that are constantly talking to you. And again, it's not that one's right and one's wrong, and they're not wrong. It's just they're giving you different things to consider. And this is a part of your evolution and your growth over a lifetime, is to allow the wave to settle and then move forward with a decision. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so meditation is going to be really important for you, but you have a defined crown and, you have a defined crown and a defined ajna. What does this mean? And because you're not connected to your throat, you may spin like wild in your head for hours and hours and hours. And it's like, I need to get it out, but like, I don't know how to do it. What I would say, and this would be someone that like, I'd be like leaning into the transits and getting a journal and just write and literally verbaria dumping into a journal anytime you have like constant looping in your head, because you have very clear thoughts and you're able to process them incredibly well. It's just like they don't have an outlet. And until you allow yourself to get that outlet, whether that's through like a book, through a podcast, whatever, and depending on your environment, valleys, we can talk about that. You're meant to, like, you got to get that out somehow. But it can sometimes get stuck up in these mental loops where you can just get hung up in your head. This makes sense?
Oh, yeah.
Alone time is really, really important for you. You got to have your alone time. Really, really important. You're a natural leader. You're meant to lead people because you have activations in 31-7 as well as 8 and 1. This means you have this ability to get shit done. You are like this wonderful generator that can get things done in a very creative very creative fashion. It's really important for you to leverage and harness your creativity, because the more that you do that, the more your energy will start to flow, and you'll be able to use that energy as an outlet. You'll know where you're going. I don't know what you do or what your business is, or if you have a business or whatever that is. But I will tell you that you're the left angle cross of spirit too. And what I know about this incarnation crosses, and for those of you, there's a lot of incarnation crosses out there, like an insane amount. The left angle cross of spirit is all about transporting others in a way that gives them inspiration. You actually help others clear and create their own karma. So as similar to like a projector and a type, but you're meant to truly guide people as a leader, because you have so much activation in 31 and in 8. And in 7, there's a lot of leadership energy there. The other thing is, I would tell you, let me back up. Again, I don't know what you do, but one of the biggest things about just who you are and what you're meant to do in your day-to-day is around leadership, is truly around leadership. Like if you have a team of people, investing in people, like truly having, like being the leader of others in whatever capacity that means for you. I will tell you this, because you have activations in your design Mars under, which again, nobody really needs to know that except for me. You're in gate 36, and gate 36 is in the solar plexus. It's about the darkening of the light. It's about, a lot of times this can be seen as a little bit dramatic. Like sometimes there's a lot of like drama that could be filling in your life at times, which can cause a lot of emotion. But it's also your perspective that gives people the inspiration. And it's like taking your experience, like the darkness of your experiences, and shedding light on it, and sharing that with other people in a form of leadership, in a way of leadership. From a business perspective, you're meant to work with small groups. So I don't know if you're a coach or whatever you do, but if you're leading people, you're meant to lead in a small group fashion. So I would say like 15 to 20 people. You're meant to lead people in kind of a smaller, close knit. So because connection is going to be really big for you. Everything. Do you have children by chance?
I'm pregnant right now with my first, so soon.
Congratulations. Yeah, you're meant to have kids.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm doing business things, but there's also some personal stuff here that I find. Having joy, experiencing joy is really important for you. From a business perspective, from a business culture perspective, it's all about, having a smaller group. But it's really interesting. You're meant to be provocative. Like there's this provocation power that's going to be really important for you as you move forward, is like leveraging this provocative energy to draw your audience to you. So provocative language, right? Almost shocking to a certain degree. Does this make sense?
I'm the opposite, so that's something I would have to step into.
Yeah, you're gonna need to, because it's literally part of your design, and you have it activated. So here's one of the things that's really interesting, because it's activated with the 55, and the 55 is all about connecting to source, and there's a lot of intuition and like wholeness around spirituality. So I would say when you start to download information or activate different codes, what I would do is I would get a journal. If you don't journal now, I would definitely get a journal, start writing all that down, leave it, and then come back to it, and then look at it. And as you look at it, ask yourself, and as a generator, this is sometimes can be harder, have someone else or someone else can ask you, because you got to feel into your kind of gut response as well as the wave, but feel into it, but look at what you've written And then ask yourself, what is it really? And see whatever comes to your mind. What is it really? Because it's in the root, which means it's very grounded, and it's got to get like cut through all the bullshit, pardon my French, but it's got to cut through all the BS. And so by you being, so you know how Brittany's is like, make life your bitch, right? Like that's kind of provocative, right? That's like, that's a provocative thing. Language is going to be really important when you look at how you're leveraging your language in your business and being a provoking that. Plus you're a 5-1. So the 5, as a 5-1 in your profile, you're truly here to shift a paradigm, like truly here to shift a paradigm of how people do things in life, how people show up in life, how people like, and again, I don't know what way, I'm going to look up your incarnation cross really quickly. Cross of spirit. Here we go. I think it's the next one. Here we go. So the energy of your cross is about finding intimacy and romance in relationship. And this also I see in 59 and 6. This can range from being sexually motivated. I don't know if you've really tapped into like masculine and feminine energies and how to activate the Kundalini and really get your energy flowing. I've done a lot of work on this, and this is also part of my business outside of human design, but really activating and harnessing your sexuality in a way that supports your creativity, I think is going to be really, really powerful. It may be something that you've never considered, but it is very active in your chart. And it's in gate 14, which is a tantric channel as well. So there might be this like yearning for more, but you're like, I don't know where to go. Like there's this, like, I'm curious, like I kind of want to do it, but I'm a little bit hesitant. Yeah. And one of the things that can be a little bit of a shadow is that you can find yourself bouncing back and forth between pleasure and pain. And that can be in relationships, that can be in business. And there's this constant kind of like back and forth between pleasure and pain. Like there's no middle ground. It's just either pleasure or it's pain. What the heck? So that's when I would say really lean into your emotional authority in that regard. See, what was the other thing I was going to mention? Oh, from a business perspective, again, don't know what you do. But if you're putting out offers and you're looking to attract people, and this is what we're going to talk, Brittany and myself, we're going to talk about this more in our bigger program, but how to align your energy and how to create offers that make sense based on where you're defined in your chart. But what I can tell you right now, because you have so much definition in the root, challenges, like challenging people to do things is going to be one of the most magnetizing and activating things that you can do in your business. Challenging people, whether that's like challenge you to do 30 days of Facebook Lives. I challenge you to go do a 3-day water fast. I challenge you to whatever it is, and again, I don't know your business, but challenging people to do things. That's how you're going to magnetize and bring people in. There's also a little bit of play that'll happen because you have that generator energy. But there's a lot of other little things in there. Guys, I told you at the hour we'd have to be up. I only got to do one reading. I'm so sorry about this. But what I will tell you is that I've got everybody's charts that showed up today and that gave their information. Gay, if there was anybody else that added to it, just please let me know if you could take that down. I bring this up because I do have a hard stop. I do have to hold this boundary. But next week, we're going to be hosting, me and Brittany are going to be hosting a free masterclass. It's going to be 4 days. And it's basically going to be what we talked about today on steroids. I've done this once before, but we're adding some of Brittany's special sauce on top of my special sauce. And we've created this beautiful little baby that we're going to have next week that we're really excited about. And it's going to be about how to activate yourself so that you do create and magnetize those clients, how to activate yourself in your business with human design in a way that makes sense for you in your type, in your profile. And I'm also going to show you different ways of how you can manifest through through different specific areas. Brittany and myself, we're going to talk about the different ways that we can manifest these different things in our businesses as well as in our life. And I'll be able to do a few more mini readings. So for everyone that shared their information today, I promise you will get a mini reading next week. You just have to show up live though to get the mini reading, because I got to have the interaction with you. Hopefully that makes sense. So with that, Brittany, what else do you have to say? Closing remarks, sarcastic remarks, thoughts, feedback?
The only thing I would say, and I would add to what we're going to do next week, is really focusing on how to, we've talked about the manifestation, magnetism, but really making sure that you ladies understand within your businesses, the freedom behind it, how to, like, everyone has their own idea of freedom. For me, when it comes to family, very important. My daughter's like sleeping on the couch behind me right there. It's being able to, the fact that my boyfriend was able to take 9 months off while our daughter was born, because I have a business. Being able to, no longer have to worry about having to do business someone else's way, right? There's so many pieces to like someone else's idea of freedom that we want to make sure that when you guys join us next week, that we are talking about how you can actually turn your businesses into that idea of freedom, to really activate yourself so that you can go and move forward with, your launches, with getting more clients, with bringing more people into your world. Because the number one thing I talk about with my clients is the importance of getting visible, right? But so many of us are stuck in the background. We're busy creating because we're creative beings and we love our businesses, that all of a sudden when it comes time to actually do the business, and you put your launch out there, you put this amazing offer out there, it's crickets, because you haven't actually got visible. And it's because it's frustrating getting visible, right? It's frustrating showing up because you don't know how, because you've had so many other people tell you to do it their way. And when you can actually step into your human design and you can show up as the real you, that's when people come into your world. That's how you get visible. And I'm going to be talking about how to get visible based on your design, where to show up. And then, and of course, I always say to my clients, like, number one, when we talk about getting visible, it's what feels really good for you. And then I help you, Katie and I help you make that happen, right? You get to be the creator and the driver in your business. And it's just our job to help you bring that to light, to actually make it happen for you. So that's all I have to say about next week. I have shared the link. We'll make sure we share it again. We'll make sure we share it in the Facebook, like all the Facebook groups where this is being streamed right now, so that you can join us. It's called Activate. I don't know if we said that.
Yeah.
I think 4-day masterclass. It's called Activate. We do have the times. I believe it's at, what did we say? 10:30 Pacific Standard or Pacific?
Yeah, so 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard, which is 11:30 Mountain, 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern.
And we will have replays for those days, but we do have an upgrade. If you are somebody, am I allowed to talk about the upgrade?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay. If you are somebody who, you join us and you're like, you know what, this is so amazing. I actually want to keep this. I want lifetime access to this. We do have an upgrade for $222. On top of that, I was talking to Katie today. I'm going to add in a bonus that if you decide to join the upgrade, I'm going to do a private one-to-one session with you where we're going to actually map out your launch, your next offer, how you're going to put out your next offer. Obviously, we won't infuse the human design into it. You'll learn that as we do Activate, but I'm going to work with you to actually decide what is it you're selling, who is it for, where are you going to show up to sell it? How are you going to generate leads for it? And then how are you, like I said, how are you going to show up online and actually begin engaging with people? So that's our upgrade is $222. And if that interests you, let us know.
And so once you sign up for Activate, you'll receive an email, and then you'll receive a second email that will, if you want to participate in the upgrade, that you can do so with that link. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. So love having you, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye.